So in this video, we're gonna be breaking down the quickest, most effective strategies to skyrocket through the credit card tier list in 2023. Now, I know when I first got into the whole world of credit cards, it felt as if it was like a tricky maze. What I realized was that there are countless options, each offering different perks, different benefits, and on top of that, there's a whole bunch of these rules within the credit card game that you don't wanna break. That's why here in this video, I'm gonna be guiding you through that labyrinth, helping you understand how to strategically apply for credit cards and climb that tier list at record speed. I'll also be showing you the tricks and tips and insider knowledge that I've used myself to get over 15 credit cards in the past few years. Now, there have been a lot of changes made into the credit card game since I first got started a few years back, but this is going to be a fully updated video, so you don't have to worry about anything being outdated. So let's kick things off by first understanding the credit card tier list and why the sequence of your applications is actually so important. So simply put, it's just a system that ranks credit cards based on their benefits and perks, and typically the higher the tier, the better the rewards, but also the higher the annual fees and higher requirements in order to get approved. Now, this here sounds simple, but there is a bit more to it because it turns out that a premium tier credit card could actually be way easier to get than even some of those beginner credit cards. The secret behind this whole entire credit card game is just knowing the sequence and timing of your applications and seeing what best fits your own spending habits. If you happen to be a homebody, you don't like leaving the house, and you hate travel, you hate taking airplanes, then a lot of these premium tier credit cards may not make sense to you. But if you're someone who loves travel, you're on the road every single time, you're going to different countries, then you might find that some of these beginner credit cards have no value to you at all, but then these mid-tier and premium cards give you extraordinary amounts of ROI. Now, regardless of what kind of persona you might fit in, this here is your general sequence on still getting a ton of points. So even if you don't travel, or even if you do a lot of travel, you're going to be able to reap at least the points from those welcome bonuses that you can earn. And you can also have different downgrade paths and options of canceling that card in case you need to. Ladies and gents, I've pretty much thought of it all. This is going to be your one sequence formula in order to maximize everything you can for the general population of people watching this video. So why does the sequence matter so much with these credit cards? Well, here's the deal. It turns out if you apply for several cards within a short period of time, back to back to back, this might harm your credit score and decrease your chances of being approved, which can also lead to you spending more time in trying to get approved for some of these cards. On top of that, there's also a bunch of these funky little rules with credit cards. As an example, you have the infamous Chase 524 rule, where Chase will instantly deny you no matter how good your credit score is if you've applied for more than 5 cards within 24 months. On top of that, you have the Amex 5-card rule, where American Express will limit you to 5 personal and business credit cards at a single time. Now, by the way, that rule only affects Amex credit cards and not their charge cards. So even within the whole credit card world, there's a difference between the two, and things like the Amex Gold card, the Amex Platinum card, or even the American Express Green card, those would be an exception to the Amex 5-card rule that we just mentioned. Now, it doesn't just end there, because there is the Amex 1 in 5 rule and even the Amex 2 in 90 rule. I'm not going to go into the details of those rules, but I did want to mention it to give you guys proof that there are all these little knickknacks that you need to work through. And with this video here, you're actually going to be guiding yourself through so you don't violate any of those rules and risk an automatic denial. Now, the main requirement for you to be able to follow along this sequence is the fact that you just need to have average to great credit. If you're someone who's watching this video and you got like a 400 credit score, I'm sorry, but this probably won't be able to help you out because you're not going to be able to get approved for any one of these cards. Even with that being said, I still think this video is worth watching, even if you don't have the best credit score in the world, because you'll still know what to do once you fix your credit. And by the way, having a bad credit score is not something permanent. You don't just get a bad credit score and then you deal with that for the rest of your entire life. It's actually pretty simple on how you can improve your credit score. And I've made countless amount of videos on that topic for the past few years. And I made a recent one in the past few months. So be sure to check that video out if you're struggling with your credit score. Now on to the strategy. So a smart move in 2023 is going to be to start with credit cards that have more lenient requirements and build up from there. The more credit card approvals you have under your belt, the more likely you are to get some of their higher tier flagship cards within that same bank or company. On top of that, if you use these credit cards responsibly, you'll be able to build a positive credit score, a positive credit history, and it'll also make it easier to get approved for those high tier cards down the road. All right, so to kick this off, I actually wanted to show you the exact sequence that I myself did a few years ago in order to have over 15 credit cards now. I first started with this card here that I can't can't name in this video because they said that we're not allowed to talk about them. But later on the road, I held that card for about a few months and I got the Uber Visa Barclays card. Now this card here does not exist anymore, and the version of it that does is completely nerfed and it's just a waste of time, so don't even consider it. Now the reason why I had these two cards first before I got into the Chase product was because it was a lot harder to get initially approved for Chase if you had no credit history. Back then, the Chase Freedom Flex also did not exist. All you had was the Chase Freedom Unlimited and the Chase Freedom card. What I would do now is actually start by applying for the Chase Freedom Flex card as your first beginner starter card. The reason you want to do this is because of the 524 rule that we mentioned earlier, where if you get all your Chase cards down the road, you would then have to wait some time before getting approved. Now, this sequence that you see here took me 2 to 3 years in order to actually complete. And I know there are a lot of people who do not want to wait that long. So if you want to save on time, you can go straight into the Chase Freedom lineup. And between the Chase Freedom Unlimited, I would just go with the Chase Freedom Flex. I think it's a much better card. If you're new to the credit card game and you don't want to worry about rotating categories for whatever reason, and you want to just go for the Chase Freedom Unlimited, that's still not a bad choice either. If it turns out you're unable to get approved for the Chase Freedom Unlimited or the Freedom Flex card, you can then go ahead, apply for a free checking account with Chase, which allows you to build up a certain type of history with them where it'll actually increase your chances of getting approved for one of their starter cards. Right now, the data points are actually showing that as long as you have a decent credit score, you should still get automatically approved for one of their beginner credit cards. An above average credit score, I'd say even if you had a 680 credit score, you should still get approved for one of those cards. And anything above that, even across that 700 to 730 range, you'll definitely have a good chance of getting approved. Now, once you get this card, you're going to be eligible to get their welcome bonus offer. And what I like to do is wait just a minimum of 1 to 2 months before applying for the next card. Now, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, wait, no, you don't want to wait 1 to 2 months. You got to wait 6 months minimum. But I like to disagree with that. I think it's completely unnecessary, and waiting 6 months is way too long, because if you want to get all these cards eventually, it's like getting 2 credit cards every single year. Doing the math, it's going to take you like 5 to 10 years to get and finish this whole sequence. Don't worry about that. I think 1 to 2 months is more on the faster side. What I've done, especially within like this mid-tier sequence, was I was applying for credit cards every 1 to 2 months. 3 months is very, very safe too. And I've never been denied for applying for too many cards within a short period of time. Now, after you apply for one of the Chase Freedom products, I've noticed that a lot of people tend to make the mistake of just applying for even more starter cards that have no or low annual fees. What I like to do quickly after that is actually just apply for a mid-tier credit card that has an annual fee, and this is going to be the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Regardless of whatever your travel habits may be, the Chase Sapphire Preferred is a great all-around card, especially for someone who can hold it for at least 1 year and get that welcome bonus. So with this card here, you're going to be able to get 60,000 Chase Ultimate Reward points after you spend $4,000 in purchases in the first 3 months. And off a 1 point to 1 cent redemption, that's $600 in cash. And let me tell you, with Chase, it's actually really easy to get 2 to 3 cent redemptions by holding this card. So that's anywhere from $1,200 to even $1,800 cash back that you can apply to travel. Now, this is the sequence that I followed and it worked out great. The big thing here is that you're now going to be paying $95 a year to hold this card. I still don't think that is a huge annual fee for the amount of return and benefits that you get for this card. But either way, if you ever wanted to downgrade this card to a no annual fee version, which is something I did much later down the road, this here is actually the Chase Sapphire card. It's a secret card that you can apply for, but you can actually go ahead and downgrade the Sapphire Preferred with an annual fee to the Sapphire with no annual fee. After holding this card, I actually went into the world of business credit cards, and this transition actually happened pretty quick. The reason I went into business credit cards is because these credit cards don't add to that Chase 524 rule. So at a certain point, if I had gotten all 3 business credit cards, but they didn't have that special little rule where it didn't affect the 524 rule, I would then have to wait about 2 years in order to then start applying for new cards. At this point, I had about 4 cards. I still went ahead and applied for this. If you went straight into the Freedom Flex card and then the Sapphire Preferred and then build out the other lineup of Chase Inc. cards, you would then have mass accumulated a ton of points. And on top of that, you are still just at 224 with the Chase 524 rule. Now, business credit cards are great because you're going to be finding much higher welcome bonus bonus offers, but keep in mind the minimum spend requirement in order to hit those offers is usually pretty high as well. So unless you have a business or you have upcoming expenses, maybe you're renovating your home, maybe you're trying to start a new car washing business, whatever it is, or maybe you don't have a business at all. I've actually made a ton of videos here on YouTube going over on how you can apply for a business credit card and get approved even if you don't have a business. Now, I would say the business credit cards are still a bit more optional. It's not going to apply to every single person. And if you're content just with personal credit cards, you could skip this route, but I would still highly recommend going through it. Eventually, what I did was downgrade my Sapphire Preferred to the regular Sapphire. This is because there's a rule called the Chase Sapphire 48-month bonus rule, where I made sure I got the initial bonus with the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I then downgraded the card, kept the bonus, and then I would have to wait 48 months, which is actually a very long time. It's about 4 years before I can receive another bonus, and that's where I would get the Chase Sapphire Reserve next. I also planned it accordingly, where I knew it was during that time I wouldn't be traveling much, but I knew 4 years down the road, I would be making a bit more money than I was back then, and I could actually utilize the full benefits of the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. If you do find positive value with the Sapphire Preferred, I would just keep it. $95 a year doesn't really add up to be much, and as long as you're still traveling even just once or twice a year, I believe it's still able to give you positive ROI. Just understand your own miles may vary, so at least do the math for yourself. So after I was able to get all three of the Chase Ink cards, I then got the Chase Freedom card. This here is now going to be the Chase Freedom Flex version. I don't think you need to crisscross back and forth, but if you are able to get it, you're then pretty much completing the Chase trifecta at this point earlier on. And the next card that I would then consider getting is the American Express Gold card. Now, the American Express Gold card is a great all-around card for pretty much everyone. You don't have to travel to justify the price. You get a solid welcome bonus offer, and plus you earn points on pretty much any time you eat out or you spend money at the grocery store. Now, I still have the Amex Gold card in my wallet. I think this is a keeper for almost everyone as long as you're eating out just the bare minimum of what the annual fee provides. But even aside from that, you get so many credits with the Uber Eats and even like Shake Shack, Grubhub, whatever it is. It essentially brings down the annual fee to less than $50 a year to hold. And if you're spending on this card, you're breaking even easily. I know that there's opportunity cost, especially when it comes to using an annual fee card versus some of the no annual fee cards, but that's going to go outside the scope of this video. After you get the Amex Gold card, you've pretty much opened the door for you to get any one of American Express's flagship products, which includes some of the platinum cards as well. At this point, it's a matter of personal preference on what you want to do, and I see it similar to how if you ever play Pokemon, you can choose between Squirtle, Charizard, or Bulbasaur. This is because instead of getting the Chase Freedom Flex card, if I decide to go with Capital One, the Quicksilver card, or even one of American Express's earlier beginner tier cards, it would then make sense for me to apply for another one of their higher tier premium cards, which could be the Platinum card or the Capital One Venture X card. Regardless, the most important thing is Freedom Flex card, Sapphire Preferred, get the Amex Gold, and then from there you could pivot into other different cards that fit your own spending criteria. If you don't want to jump into the annual fee cards too quick, you can then go ahead and get something like the Built card, which I think is a fantastic card currently, which was not available 3 to 4 years back. Now, by the way, if you're someone who pays rent, this card is an absolute no-brainer. I own a home now. I don't even pay rent anymore. I used to pay rent for the last 3 to 4 years, but even without me paying rent currently, this card is still great, and it's a keeper card that I have within my wallet. At this point, there are a ton of different cards that you can get. I even added the Amazon Visa card. I have the Amazon Business Prime card, and I get 5% on my Amazon purchases, so I maximize my category there. If you decide, okay, you want to travel a lot more, you want to get right into the platinum cards, you're more than ready enough to get into it. And at that point, I got the platinum card, and then I even got the business platinum card. I was going a little crazy, and I still hold both of those cards to this day. Now, one of my favorite cards that I added to this list, because pretty much after you get the gold card and you get the ink cards, this is optional, but even some of the hotel branded cards can be great if you know you're staying at a hotel within their brand every single year. Now, with my Marriott Bonvoy card, which also gives me Marriott Bonvoy Gold status, and my World of Hyatt card, which also gives me Explorist status, with these two cards here, if I'm paying, say as an example, a $95 annual fee, which I do, and I get a hotel room for $200 to $300, that right there gives me positive value on a trip that I would have already booked. Now I know there's a lot of cards, and within this setup, you can definitely mix and match. There are some great offerings. We even recently made a video talking about the US Bank credit card lineup, and there are some sleepers within that brand too. But I would say your general rule of thumb is to at least start with 4 core cards. If they're all annual fee cards, it's still fine, but eventually get into the mid-tier cards like the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and then get into the Amex Gold card, and then from there you can decide which one you want. What's great about the entire credit card system is that you don't need to follow a specific system to the T. If you like a certain card more than the other, just go for that one, because this here is a long-term game that could last you anywhere from 5 to even 10 years or more. There are new credit cards coming out, there are upgrades being made, and every single time that happens, you can just apply for a new card, get the welcome bonus offer, keep those points, downgrade, cancel the card if you need to, but you're still racking up and accumulating more points to come out ahead. Now, the biggest lesson here is patience within this journey. While we all want to climb the credit card tier list quickly, we also want to do it as wise as possible. Understand that a lot of the times, each card is going to be a step up the ladder, and each step strengthens your credit card and gets you closer to those top tier cards, where eventually, if y'all end up balling out, you could get the JP Morgan Reserve card or even the Amex Centurion card. The biggest tip I'm gonna leave you guys with is just take it step by step, play your cards wisely, and soon enough, you'll be able to find yourself at the top enjoying a lot of those elite benefits. Now that's gonna be the full video here. If at all you guys are interested in applying for any one of these cards that I mentioned, I have full reviews here on this YouTube channel, and I also have links down below in the description where you can learn more about some of these cards and what welcome bonus offers they have. Now on top of that, if you guys wanna have access to our private Facebook group, and currently right now we're actually building out a new Discord channel too, just so y'all have a bit more of an exclusive community to help each other out, check the link down below in the description for that. We're also building a new business where if you are interested in applying for a new card and you're not sure if you're getting the best or highest welcome bonus offer, or if you know how much you're trying to spend and how much you travel in a certain year and you know your credit score, we can also go ahead and match make you with what I believe is the best card for that. This here is an exciting little business venture I'm trying to pursue, and it would help me out a lot if you guys decide to use it. So join the Facebook group, give me some feedback on that, and thank you all again for watching this video. And until next time, peace out.